Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the RockyMounts MonoRail bike platform rack for two bikes here on our 2014 Honda CRV. So this can be an excellent way of starting to get your bikes to that trailhead or wherever you want to go, because I really like this system. And why that is, I think it looks pretty simplistic, it gets the job done, and it has a great weight capacity. Now with 60 pounds for each bike, we're going to have an excellent time throwing up almost any bike we need on here. But what I really like as well is we do have a front tire hold system. That makes it a lot easier to throw in a variety of other bikes, such as our carbon frame here, because we don't have any downwards pressure on our frame, and therefore we're not going to be warping or deteriorating our carbon frames. It can account for almost any bike out there as well. So if you do have a women's bike, step-through bikes, or kids bikes that have a little bit of a harder time utilizing those kind of like center frame or especially hanging style racks, we don't have to worry about that. As long as we have one good front wheel, we're going to have an excellent job of actually getting our bikes to where we want to go. Now we do have some pretty nice touch points along here. You can see where we'd actually release this ratcheting arm is going to be blue, and that's kind of throughout this entire piece. We have it here on our back straps that are holding down our rear wheel, and we even have it on this little guy here, this handle. What I really like about this, all I have to do, I can pop this guy, and that's going to allow me to actually tilt this down towards the ground, and that's going to allow me to get to the hatch here, and that gives me plenty of room. Open this up. Now I'm going to here get my bike helmets, coolers, anything else I might need from the inside of my CRV, whether it be when I'm at the trailhead or I just maybe need to make a quick little errand run. I have the ability to drop that down without having to take my bike off. Now walking it, all we want to do is support it, walk it up. Now, of course, if you have heavier and heavier bikes, that's going to be a little harder. I would suggest supporting your mass just a little bit more, especially if you are pushing that heavy end of the bike spectrum. But this does a great job of holding on our bikes. I really do like that front arm system, and what I really like about it too, it works really well with this front cradle system. So very wide. We actually even have extra straps here for your wide base tires, which is great. So the bigger bikes are going to have a great time on this guy as well, which I love to see. And one thing that's awesome about this super high backrest, if you'd even have longer wheelbases, bear with me here as I open this up. This is actually going to get tilted out of the way, right? We have that rear cradle that can oscillate a little bit, accounting for our longer wheelbases. But even if we are at that extreme, at that max, we're going to have a great anchor here, and in tandem with that front tire hold, your bike goes nowhere. So this works really well. We were having a couple issues with our other carriers, just having some kind of bad interactions with some of your more like 48-inch wheelbasers and up. And I loved how the RockyMounts work. So I think that's something that's awesome about this guy. Now, to that end, the things that are kind of limiting about it, this doesn't move. So you are going to need that necessary wheel bank to actually get to that strap. So maybe not the best BMX bike or kids bike friendly. As long as it can get there, it's going to secure it, but that'd be my big issue with it. But let's go ahead and see how our bike is actually interacting with our CRV here today. We can take a look and see that it's not doing too bad of a job here. Now, we definitely are going to be losing a lot of that rear window. If you want to take a look with me here, and we kind of see how we're doing. The other thing with it, our taillights are seeing a little bit of interaction here with our tires. Now, we have really good distance here, and of course, more towards the top of the column, we have plenty of sight, so I don't think anybody's going to know, or not, I don't think anybody's going to have an issue seeing when we're braking and being safe, so I do love to see that. Well, let's go ahead and actually try to take this bike off. To do that, I want to start by this rear strap here, pressing in on that blue lever. That allows me to pop open this strap just like so. I can set that off to the back, repeat the process. I'm sorry, I forgot we only have the one strap on the guy. And then that brings us to our last hold on our bike. We're going to make sure we do a good job of holding onto it. We don't want that tilting into our vehicle or ourselves to cause any damage. Simply need to press in on that blue lever. That's going to allow me to release my arm out to the side, and now I can just take my bike and walk off. Now, depending on how that rear cradle is set, sometimes your bike likes to just walk itself forward if you do have a little bit of a shorter wheelbase. So again, make sure you're holding on to it. That way, it doesn't go walking off. All I got to do, though, is set that down to the side, and we are already ready to ride. So mounting it up becomes just as easy. The only thing I think you're going to have trouble with, if you do have those bigger, heavier bikes, it can take you just a little bit to actually get it in place. But that is kind of the ropes with those guys. If you're looking for something that does a great job of handling those larger weight capacities and can give you a little bit of assist to actually get your bike onto your platform, One thing you could look at is going to be the Yakima on-ramp. That becomes an excellent way of allowing you and assisting you of actually getting your heavy bikes up, as well as having a 66-pound weight capacity. But overall, I think the RockyMounts here is still excellent. Let's go ahead and see how it's actually interacting with our CRV in terms of dimensions. So we are going to be adding just a little bit of length here to our vehicle, but the big thing we need to look at is the clearance to the ground. Now the CRV already sits just a little bit low, so I do want to get a good measurement here from the end, from the ground to the very end of my carrier. That is putting us today at 19 1/4 of an inch. So the one thing I'll say to that, if you do find yourself approaching a very steep incline, take it nice and slow. As those front wheels go up, the back will go down, and so will your hitch mounted accessories. Now with 19 inches or so, I think we're in a very good spot. But if you do find yourself being a little adventurous, I just take it nice and slow. But we do have a way of shortening, next dimension we need is going to be the length here that we're adding onto our vehicle. From the back of our bumper here today to the very end, that's putting us right at 34 inches to the very back. So I will say that's quite a lot of length, especially for just a 2-bike platform rack. However, as long as you're staying within 40, you're not in too bad of a spot. And we do have a way of shortening that down. We're going to go back to that blue handle we were just at to drop it down. Instead of going down, I'm going to bring it right back up and walk it into position. What I really like about that, it locks itself in. It is solid in this position as well. Little to no movement, especially nice when you're driving. You don't want to hear it. Now from the back of the bumper to the very end of our carrier, that is now putting us at 15 inches to the very back. So more than half that length getting shut down. Love to see that being a lot easier to pull in to the garage, or at the very least, give ourselves some maneuverability when we need to park it. Now, one thing I do like about this as well, you are seeing adjustable platform lengths here. So these guys, all we have to do, back them off, and that can let you shift and offset your platform, and that's excellent for your similar sized bikes that are having a little bit of interaction with their handlebars and their seat posts. Make it a lot easier to get all your bikes to the trailhead. You also are seeing a locking core right here on the middle. This becomes an excellent tether point for the included cable lock to go ahead and actually secure both your bikes to your carrier when you leave it unattended. Moving our way down to the inside, though, you can see we do have a 2-inch shank here today, held in by our 2-inch hitch receiver, of course. On the inside of that, you are seeing a threaded anti-rattle hitch bolt with a locking core on the other side. Now that locking core will be key-like, of course, to your other one, making it so where your carrier's attached to your vehicle, and it'll stay that way when you leave it unattended, just as well as with your bikes. Now I do love to see that anti-rattle. It is pretty standard, but as you're seeing, it's shaking the entirety of the car, taking out all that shake and play we naturally have, and making it a lot easier for ourselves and a lot smoother for ourselves as we are driving. So I do love to see that. Now it is as it is folded up. Love that we're not interacting with that rear window. It is quite up there, so nothing I was too worried about. Taillights easily exposed, and we even have our backup camera here that is probably seeing quite a lot. Now, I think this bar is definitely going to be in your way. However, you have a nice little gap here to see through, and I still think we're going to have plenty of visibility, which is excellent to see. Anything taller, though, and you might start losing that a little bit. And that does bring me to the option of adding on a third bike to this guy. So that's great. You have an ability to actually upgrade and get a little bit more bikes with you guys if you want to. And that kind of puts it ahead of some of the other things out there, you know, the static 2 bikes that you're kind of stuck to, or you have to upgrade to the next one. I do like how we have the ability to get that third bike with us. Overall, I'm a really big fan of the RockyMounts. It just works really, really well, and it looks pretty good too, but it's not too garbage, you know, or I'm sorry, too loud. It's very simplistic, and it just works, and I love it. Otherwise, though, I think that about does it for our look here today at the RockyMounts MonoRail 2-bike platform rack here on our 2014 Honda CRV. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.
Here it is on our test course. We'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Next, we're at the alternating speed bumps, which we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or pothole or driving over uneven pavement. And finally, we have the full speed bumps, where we'll see the up and down action, which is just like driving out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway.